I didn't know any other life other than a life where you eat once a day and struggle to sometimes go to school because you're very hungry. And I remember Granny used to go, buy marchandises. I don't know how you would call that. And she used to work for like a whole freaking day, and she would wake up really early in the morning and go buy this stuff, and then she comes. But because it was like very heavy, I would leave school. So when everybody's going for lunch, I would leave school, go running to try and go meet her halfway so that we can spread the package. That is like what my life was. The reason why I'm telling this story is because I really can't stop thinking about kids who are still going through the same shit that I went through. What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in on Stories and Status, episode 10. I'm so stoked about it. Yeah, it's just been like very, very fun. And one of the things that I want to do this year is hopefully to start having people on. Think would be fun. It's one of the reasons why I started this whole thing in the first place, is because I wanted to have interesting conversation with people that I find interesting, people that I'm genuinely interested in their story or in ideas that they have and stuff. And yeah, hopefully we were able to do it this year, but I'll take the win that I managed, and if you watched the first episode, you and I managed to get here to episode 10, which is not easy, dude. Doing a solo podcast is really difficult. It's just like a little bit weird because you're talking to yourself in a way, and that's not comfortable. I would prefer to have a conversation with someone, but we will get there. And in the meantime, the thing that I wanted to talk about today is actually to share with you my story, a little bit of my story, and then I'll tell you why at the end. If you've been listening to me for the last 10 episodes, at least you deserve to know who I am and where I come from, what I'm about and whatever, right? Okay, so I grew up in Rwanda. It's a small country in East Africa. I should say small but beautiful. And I grew up without okay, let's go back a little bit. My mom and my dad got divorced when I was like very young, maybe 2 years old, maybe a year and a half, maybe, I think, from what I hear. And long story short, I ended up going to live with Granny, and for some reason I ended up in a refugee camp. And for the first 15 years of my life, I lived in a refugee camp. And as you can imagine, like what life was like in a refugee camp, it was not easy. It was really, really tough. And going days without food, going to school barefoot. I remember going to I don't even know how I can describe it in English, but like now I live in the United States, and when you cook, it's not just in the United States, but like people who don't live in a camp, when they cook, they're not like using sticks. Like you go up trees and get sticks and use them to cook. But that's what we used to use to cook. And I remember going to do that. And it's not just me. It was like a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people, going outside of the camp, climbing trees, very long trees, and getting sticks to cook with. And that was like a whole Sunday. And you're not just like working down a couple minutes to go and get that. Like you're working hours. I think it was like maybe, I don't know, 3 hours, maybe 2 hours if you're fast. And this is like 12 years old, maybe I was 12. That's when I started doing that. And I remember selling sugar canes to try to get some money to buy whatever I wanted to buy, or maybe contribute and buy food and stuff. So even like from that, you probably understand the scale of how bad it was. Like I was dirt poor. My family was dirt poor, and a lot of other people that I knew were dirt poor. In the video that I made on my channel, I mentioned that even if I was like that poor, I literally didn't have anything. I feel like I was happy. Like when I reflect on my childhood, I wouldn't like say that it was sad, because I was living with my grandparents and my cousin, who really loved me and treated me well. And I knew if I didn't have food today, like it wasn't because they didn't want to give me food, or like they were treating me bad or anything. It was because they couldn't afford to. And I also did not know anything other than that. I didn't know any other life other than a life where you eat once a day and struggle to sometimes go to school because you're very hungry. And I remember Granny used to go, buy marchandises. I don't know how you would call that, but like it's like going and buying potatoes and then reselling them at a little bit higher price. And she used to work for like a whole freaking day, and she would wake up really early in the morning and go buy the stuff, and then she comes. But because it was like very heavy, I would leave school. So when everybody is going for lunch, I would leave school, go running as fast as I can to try and go meet her halfway, so that we can split the package. And she would have, I don't know, an avocado, maybe a banana. And then 2 p.m, at least I would try to get, back to our place by 2 p.m. and go back to school, because it was like, you go in the morning and then you go in the afternoon. And that is like what my life was. So I didn't know anything other than that. And because I didn't know anything, my life was good. I was happy, and I played with my buddies. I played with my friends, and yeah, that was life. But when I reflect on it now, should mention now I moved to the United States. I have a pretty good life. It's not like everything that I want it to be, but I have it like better than many people, so I cannot complain. And when I reflect on that, like I imagine, that's when I realized like how much really life sucked, how much difficult it was, not just for me, but my cousin, for everybody that I grew up with. And the reason why I'm telling this story is because I really can't stop thinking about kids who are still going through the same shit that I went through, and are still living the kind of life that I was living. And the reason why I'm here, which is a little bit like a huge part of my story, is because my uncle got me out of the camp in 2012, got me and my cousin out of the camp. And I was lucky enough to because of him, go to a good school and perform well, and my life went on a completely different trajectory because of him. And I end up, going to Kepler again, like, because I was a refugee. I went to Kepler for free, and I got it. I mean, it was like a scholarship, and went through the program that allowed me to get a degree that was United States degree. Then when I got here, I was able to get a job without having to go back to school and everything. And when you think about all those things that happened for me to be living the life that I'm living now, is people who didn't have to give a shit, and they did something about it. They my uncle got me out of the camp. I think it was Oliver Sabot who co-founded Kepler. They acted on, I don't know, their ideas or whatever. Like, they did something about the problem of trying to solve trying to provide higher education to refugees and people from underrepresented communities and whatever. And like, the reason why I share my stories, because I've been thinking about, like, how do I give back? What can I do to try and help some of those kids who have potential? Because I had potential. I know a lot of the kids that I grew up with were like crazy smart and wanted to do a lot of things, but don't have an opportunity. Are growing up in a situation that will never allow them to do something with their potential, right? And when I think about AI and, like, how the biggest tech companies are moving like as quickly as possible to try to get, create AGI, which is going to be like a super intelligent computer. And like, when everybody is focused on that, like, what about the kids who don't have a computer? What about the kids who never used a phone? What about the kids who are not getting food tonight, who are going to bed, not having food? And like, they're not gonna like, I don't know, like, what's gonna happen to them? What is gonna happen? And so I've been thinking a lot about that. And let's come down from the crowds, because I'm going like really quickly through the story, because I didn't want to focus on it. Like, it's not it shouldn't be the spotlight of this conversation. The spotlight should be on the kids who are still going through that, because I'm not going through that, at least not now. And like, when I think about that, I feel the urge to do something about it. And I've already said, my life is still not like perfect. I'm still trying to build myself. I'm still trying to do things to take my career to the next level. I have things that I want to achieve and whatever. So I don't have the time to go do something that can hopefully down the line benefit these kids, right? And when I was thinking about it this weekend, I was like, there are technically two ways that I can go about this, right? Meaning, do something about this problem. Like, how the hell do you ensure that kids who are growing up in communities, it's not like refugee camps. Like, there's a lot of kids growing up the same way I grew up who are not growing up in refugee camps. Like, poverty is everywhere. And how do you at least try and help, even if it's one person, even if it's two people? What can I do now to help to at least set a foundation for those kids to one day be able to achieve or use their potential, achieve their potential. That's not defined. I don't even know what potential means in this case. But like a person who doesn't have any resources that would allow them to become a doctor that they're dreaming to be. Because I was dreaming of becoming a doctor when I was in a refugee camp, right? And I know that these kids are dreaming to be something. They want to be something. They want to, I don't know, if they are maybe 15 or maybe 18, now they're realizing that there's a world outside that's different from their house. There's a world in which people don't go to bed hungry. There's a world in which people have computers and have electricity and are doing things that are benefiting the world. Like you get a glimpse of that when you start to grow up and you realize, oh shit, the whole world is not like me. The whole world is not as poor as me. Like when I moved out of the camp in 2012 and started like going to school with, some of the kids from Kigali, which is the capital city of Rwanda, I was like, what the hell? Like where have I been dreaming? These people are like different from me. They're, the stuff that they're talking about is not like, I have no idea what they're saying, right? You eat bread every morning before for breakfast, like that's a life people live. And that sounds like, simple and silly, but like, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. And I think I can do. Okay, so I'm all over the place. When I was thinking about it this weekend, I figured that I can go about it in two ways, right? I can either focus on myself and say, okay, I'm going to try and build myself up and, not try to focus on anybody else, not try to focus on doing anything about, building anything that can help some of these kids get a better life down the line. Just focus on building my career, and then when I do build my career and have money and have a lot of money, create a business that grew up and became, then I will go and help these kids. Or I can say that as I do that, as I still try to focus on my career and do all the things that I'm doing, is there a way I can help one person? Like, can I use some of the resources that I have to at least provide lunch for somebody in a sustainable way? Like, can I buy a book, a pen for someone? Can I buy a phone, like a really cheap phone, that they can at least access the internet and start? Because when I first got my first computer, I got it from my uncle, and the first computer he gave me is what I used to learn graphic design. And learning graphic design introduced me to making photographs. And making photographs introduced me to all the things, and then I end up here. Like I would not have ended up here, at least not in the time frame that I did, if it wasn't for him. And can I do a simple version of that at the moment, at least now? Can I do a simple version of that for someone? And so that's why I'm starting a nonprofit organization. And the nonprofit organization is not going to have a name yet. It doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a logo, it doesn't have a website. Those are not important. But starting next month, I'm going to, even if it's $5, I'm going to find somebody that I can help with whatever resource that I will have at the time. And I will try to document the whole process as much as I can in a newsletter. I will not talk about it on the podcast if I don't have to. The podcast will continue to be, what it is. I have a vision for it and whatever. But I'm going to create a newsletter in which I can document the process and document the process of, I don't know, me even figuring out how the hell do you choose who to help and who to not help, right? And because there's a lot of people who need help, and like all that, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't even know what it's going to take, but I can only know if I start. And just starting is what is needed to do it. I don't know if you could see it, but I was coming from the gym today and wrote down, because I didn't have a notebook and my phone had died. I wrote down, do it first and then make it better. Do it first and then make it better. I'll do it first and then make it better. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out what better even means. But for now, I'm going to try and start from there. And we'll figure out the rest. Because I don't know when I will be ready. Like I don't know when, my career will get to a point where I can say, okay, I have enough money to help 10,000 people. But I definitely have enough resources to help one person. Not help them maybe in a way that is like life-changing, but at least I can use that as the basis, and I can do something now, and then maybe get other people involved and figure out how do we do this in a sustainable way. But I have to start first. I have to do something now. It's probably the most exciting thing, the most rewarding thing that I can do. And I know it's going to be challenging 100%, because I'm going to combine it with other things that I'm doing. I don't want, I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% my focus. It might be down the line, depending on how it goes. But yeah, I thought that I would share it with you guys, because this is what the podcast is about. It's what's my life, what's it like to be me, and this is what it's like to be me in this moment. It's me figuring out, how the fuck do you help these kids? How the fuck do you help? How do you set a foundation for other people to be successful? How do you do that? How do you help build a foundation for somebody? Doesn't have to be many people. We'll start with someone, and then we'll figure it out as we go. Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I really, really appreciate your time. It's the most valuable thing that you can give me. It's your time and your attention. And if you want to follow the journey, and come with me on the journey, maybe subscribe to the newsletter. The link is going to be linked below, and I will try to be as transparent as possible. Talk about all the things that we're doing, we're planning. Like, I don't even know what's that going to entail, but I promise you to be transparent. You can count me on that.